Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people looking to live life at their peak potential. Chock full of real-world tools and knowledge that you can apply in your life today. By providing you with a lens into the lives, beliefs, practices, and actions of those who are already living extraordinary lives, the Performance Enhancing Podcast will help you shift your mindset or create that change in your daily rituals and habits so you can explode with success in the areas of life that are most important to you. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with SatoriPrime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Pep Talk. Elon here, and we're about to delve into part two of my part two of the Beer Talk Sans Beer. So in part one, we talked about the power of creation, and if you follow me on Facebook, if you don't, you should, or at least follow our SatoriPrime, join our SatoriPrime mindset group. Just search for it. We post a lot of amazing little videos every single day or almost every single day. And I just spoke about the power of creation and how in 2 years and 4 months from posting on Facebook a picture of a car at an auto show that I wanted, it landed on my driveway, which is a monumental moment in my life. So anyway, that was part one of our talk. And then in this part, we're actually going to be talking about our rebrand and how it came to be, what it stands for, what it means, where it's leading us. And it was a really, really interesting conversation. Like I told you, if you listen to part one, we actually had this on Facebook Live. So people were interacting with us and asking us questions, which was very, very cool. And at the end, we actually let you know about our next event, our live event, which will be in San Diego again, which is going to happen June 23rd through the 25th. There'll actually be an opportunity to have a VIP day just with Guy and I for an entire day on the 26th. But the event itself is 23rd through the 25th. And all the details here will be coming out probably next week. All right. Love you all and enjoy part two of Beer Talk Sans Beer. And so I want to just transition now to why we... this is what we're passionate about, by the way. This is exactly what we just spoke about, having you deconstruct these conditions so that you can have the life that you've always dreamed of. That's our pretty much everything that we do. And so one of the things that we've realized is that life is short. I mean, I don't think that that's not
a breakthrough thought,
a breakthrough brain-busting thing here. But because life is short, I asked a guy a question when we were doing our first live event. And I remember I asked you, like, if you knew that we had 2 weeks left on this planet, would you die happy if we didn't do the live event?
No. I mean, and it's the same thought that brought me out to San Diego, by the way. Anytime I get that thought in my head about, like, what would I regret on my deathbed, whatever pops up there, I generally take action on fairly quickly. And I found this also when when relationships are over, which I've dealt with recently, when people pass, like Tony Woodruff passing kind of hit me really hard. I know Jason Spurlock passing recently has been kind of like on my radar too. Just you just don't know these people in your life, you and their lives, you just don't know when something could happen. I know that I only have pain around stuff that's incomplete. So, anything that's in a relationship that's not complete, you have pain around it. Anything around people passing, something that you didn't get to say is incomplete, you have pain around it. And that goes for everything, your hopes, your wishes, your desires, everything you have in life. If you never really even went for it, you're going to have pain around it. Now, you're not going to have pain around stuff that you tried and didn't achieve, as long as you know that you did everything you could in your power to go and achieve that thing. You're not going to have regrets about that. You don't have regrets about failure, right? And the regrets you do have about failure, quote unquote, are things that you didn't fail at, that you gave up on, not around the failure. So I know for me, like, the final nail in the coffin for me was when I was studying about those kind of things, about, like, what do people regret on their deathbed? And it's overwhelmingly what people have done, or, what they haven't done, not what they have done. There's an amazing video that was going around Facebook like a month ago too. They had a board out on Park Ave, I think, right in New York City. I saw it, at least it looked like Park Ave to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what have you not done? And all of them were like, I have not fill in the blank. Nobody wrote like,
no, no, it said, what do you regret?
What do you regret? Exactly. And almost overwhelmingly, it was like 90, exactly, same exact percentile. You see like, I have not, and then it's like fill in the blank. Nobody wrote, I did this. And then it's like, whatever, it was a cool exercise, but that was it. I sat there and I knew that I wanted to live on the West Coast since 2005. And I suddenly realized Elon just had his first kid. He was about a year and a half old. Second one on the way. I knew I was going to miss all that. I knew I was going to be away from family. I knew all those things. And I said to myself, you know what? No matter what time I think to myself, I want to do this thing, I'm always going to come up with reasons. There's always going to be circumstances not to do that. There's always going to be the next thing and the next thing. I'm like, but one day, 40, 30, whatever, 20 years from now, I'm going to look back right now and go, why didn't I at least do that one time to get it out of my system? And that was it. Within, a few months, I was out here, sold everything and moved. And there's not to say that there's not pain around that at times, but I don't regret the choice for a second. And I don't think anybody else in my life who knows me regrets that choice either.
Yeah.
So I've taken that lesson with me since then. And I know that Elon and I operate out of that space now on a pretty consistent basis. And it's why we started doing live events and spending a lot more money than we're making on them to do it, because we're like, no, this is how we want to serve. Right. And that's pretty much it. Like, I'm not willing to die without giving it the go ahead on serving people at that level.
So with that same question in mind, I'm doing my best here to keep flipping this on you guys. With that question in mind, we basically started asking ourselves, okay, like, who is SatoriPrime, right? Because we've been developing SatoriPrime June, so in about 3 months, April, May, June, 3 months, we're going to hit our 5-year mark. And we've done incredible things in 5 years. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like we think that we messed up or didn't do something. We're just like, okay, who are we? What are we about? We started this mission to build a stage. We have a stage. And now what are we saying from that stage? And that's really kind of the inquiry that we've been in. And while this is the pivot, this is the rebrand. So we'll share with you guys. We're known basically as really amazing marketers. Like, out in the world, that's how people know us. They're like, hey, if you want to build a business, if you want to strategize about funnels, if you want to drive traffic, if you want to learn about Facebook, if you want to kick butt with video, like, they come to us, right? And while we're great at that, we are both very aware that that's not what we were put on this earth to do. Right? Like, it's not that we don't love it. It's just that's not our gift to share with the world. Our gift to share with the world is what we spoke about before, is the ability to deconstruct people's realities and break apart their habits that have been keeping their lives, as great as they might be, in a box, and just unleashing them on the world, and having and creating other global transformational leaders. So when we were talking about transforming the lives of 100 million people, well, the vehicle is not through Facebook marketing. Like, we're not teaching 100 million people Facebook marketing. That's not how we came to transform the world. And so recently we've been in an inquiry, and we talk about this all the time. So one of the things that we do is, when we want to master something, we seek out the best people. We don't try to figure this shit out on our own anymore. It's just an absolute waste of time. And like I said before, when time becomes more valuable than money, you just figure out ways to do these things. And so we're in a process right now of actually hiring a branding expert to work with us and completely revamp our brand. And we're not getting rid of the SatoriPrime name, so you guys know. It's just what we stand for, like the ideology, the perspective. When you first come into our living room, what are you left with? Are you left with they're amazing marketers, or are you left with like, holy shit, these people can absolutely transform my life? And so what we're kind of bouncing around, and I don't know that this is final, but I'm happy to share with you guys. And if you have comments or questions or anything like that, I'd love to hear from you guys. So one of the things that we're working around is have it all. So the SatoriPrime, how to have it all, master your life in 90 days. And within those 90 days, what we're going to offer people is a 3-pronged approach to your relationships, your finances, and your health. Because what we've kind of realized is that there are plenty of coaches out there. You know, like you can spit in any direction and probably hit 6. And
especially in San Diego.
Yeah, especially in San Diego. And some of them are very good. Some of them are not so good. But what Guy and I think our magic, our differentiating factor, and I know Kevin's on here, so I'm sure he can hopefully attest to this. I think what our magic is that we're about having it all. Like, you know, we find a balance in what we call kind of like the success. Whereas I don't have the most money in the bank. I don't. I don't have I'm not like a fitness model. And I don't have the like TV family, right? But I can tell you that I've been around a lot of people, people that you'd be like, holy shit, these are incredibly successful people. I'll throw one out, like Gary Vee. I just met him, right? He'll tell you flat out, he's a shitty dad. He's not a great husband and he's not a great dad. Like, he's so singularly focused on building this business. Now, to me, while I can respect the success from the business standpoint, and he's a fucking business genius, to me, that's not success. Or talking about someone who's really successful and is grossly overweight and his health is shit, that's not success. Success to me is having it all, like the ability to truly have it all. The best relationships, incredible finances, incredible health, and it actually matter to you on all fronts.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Guy and I do incredibly well. Like, we find the balance. I was just saying this to one of our coaching clients, like, isn't it amazing that when someone's really unhealthy, what happens is it's like a pendulum. The pendulum swings to the other extreme. And they go from, I'm super unhealthy to like, I'm going to be super vegan healthy.
Yeah.
And how long does that last? Never. It never lasts. And what ends up happening, it's like a pendulum, right? It like swings back, but not as far, because they're like, oh, this shit sucks. And it goes back, but not that far where they're as unhealthy. And they're like, no, this just doesn't feel good, until they eventually kind of like
find
that middle.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Tao Te Ching and all that stuff is like, life is in the middle. It's not the highs, it's not the lows. It's like finding that balance. And I personally believe that that's our magic power. We've been able to do it in our lives. We've been able to do it in the lives of the thousands of people that we've been able to coach. And so that's kind of where the rebranding is going. And inside of that, there's going to be a lot of other stuff that gets unleashed, because now that's the message and that's what we're creating in the world.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly I just hear like it's integrity everywhere. You know, it's like integrity at every area of life. And I couldn't agree more. It's like, it's wonderful if you have a really big business, but if it's at the expense of your relationships that truly matter. I mean, at the end of your life, again, if we were to use that as an example, and you're in your deathbed and people are like, what was the most valuable thing that you did? And of course, like Gary Vee's impacting lives, he's making a huge difference. And I love and respect the guy. But when he looks back at his relationship with his wife or his kids, there might be a whole lot of regret there, because there wasn't a whole lot of integrity there. Yeah. So I think priorities obviously change as we get older. And it's fine if that's where he is in his life, and that's stuff he can hopefully have enough time to come back to and get done, or make it a priority, or whatever it might be for him. But I couldn't agree more. Like, being the wealthiest person in the world is not the most important thing to me, although money is important to me. Having quality relationships probably is one of my top priorities in my life. My health is a major priority for me, and stuff like that. But it's all come out of conversations around integrity and looking at just where there's no power around those relationships. And a lot of people will just say, well, I don't have time for all that. You know, there's just not enough time. It's like, well, it's not about having time. I always say it's about making time. Like, what are you making time for? And ultimately it's like, are you spending that time in a quality way? So like, I'm sure Gary Vee would say that there's quality ways to spend your time to build a business instead of quantity ways.
Yeah.
And I would then assert that he's looking at his relationship with his wife or his kids as it's quantity, not quality. So he could, carve out the time for them and make sure that it's super quality, and probably get that in alignment for himself too. And again, I'm not calling him out. Everything is fine with however he chooses to live his life. So yeah, I agree. That's what we do well. We bring balance to people's lives.
Yeah. So with that being said, I actually I said something about this earlier in my pep talk video today. And by the way, Kevin said, "Yep, it's a balance on all fronts, and that's what you deliver for sure." So I said in a video today about how we come back to our physical selves or physical bodies over and over and over through this cycle, all to learn lessons in the physical world. Because in the soul world, you're just perfection. There's no way to experience the not perfect when you're just perfect. So you have to come to this physical world and experience it. And my mom actually had a really, really great comment, which she said, because I was equating, that's my perspective on life. And because of it, as lessons come to me, I appreciate them. I want them to come as fast as possible so I can keep remembering all the stuff that I think I know so I can keep progressing. What she said that's really brilliant was that if you don't learn the lesson the first time, that lesson will keep trying to come at you, bigger, worse, badder, whatever, till you eventually learn that lesson. And so, when you're talking about like finding that balance and like people have to make choices, yeah, at the beginning, I think you have to make a choice. But how many people get diagnosed with cancer or some other ailment? And it's an entire reality check, right? All of a sudden, making millions of dollars and having all that money in the bank and building this legacy business kind of fucking goes out the window.
Yeah.
Right? And so life has a funny way of bringing you back to balance.
It's definitely a reality reboot. I mean, I talked about Tony before. Tony Woodruff was a coach I had when I was fairly young, and he was never a very healthy guy. He was one of the happiest guys I've ever met, but never a healthy guy. And I remember when, what was his name? He was this neurosurgeon that worked at Landmark, or it didn't work, but he was a trainer there. And I remember he told Tony one time, he's like, somebody had a heart attack that day, and he told him, if you don't start taking care of yourself, you're the next person we're going to carry out here on one of those. Mm-hmm. And Tony took it to heart and lost a lot of weight. Soon thereafter, he put a lot of integrity around his health. But again, never was like the guy to hit the gym or whatever. But I'll tell you this, like, he passed and it hurt me way worse than I thought that it would. But I went on his Facebook wall and just nothing but pride for that man, because when he passed, there were endless messages of people who wrote on his wall about the impact that this man made on their lives. And to me, that's the highest honor a human being could have, is he left behind a legacy of people who will carry his lessons. I carry his lessons with me every single day, will for the rest of my life, will pass on those lessons to other people for the rest of my life. They'll pass on those lessons. Tony's here forever. Tony's here forever as a function of the service that he's been in the world. That was partly of why I cried that day, because I'm like, a light just got shut off in the world, a light that was doing some real good work. Just like when Wayne Dyer passed, it was sad, really sad moment, stuff like that, right? And ultimately, yeah, so that's pretty much all I want to say about that.
I mean, it didn't I just happened to watch V for Vendetta,
mm-hmm.
or at least piece of it, which made me realize how much I need to see that movie again.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. And his famous line is like, what's something that never dies? An idea.
An idea. Yeah.
Right? An idea cannot die. And Tony was an idea, right? So it's like, if this is back to the analogy I said earlier, if you're a candle and you go light all these other candles, now every one of those candles, even if you blow out, every one of those candles still carries your light. And I think it's something that Tony was passionate about delivering. I know it's what we're passionate about delivering. And so I want to just kind of start wrapping this up and talking a little bit about the live event experience. I don't know, is there anything you want to share about the past one before we talk about the upcoming one?
I think we made a lot of videos at the time. Definitely a experience that stretched us really far to our brink of our sanity, but helped us grow tremendously. I mean, I feel extremely empowered having gone through that experience and my capacity to deal with some pretty stressful situations, especially around finances and planning and stuff like that. I mean, coming off of that event, like I haven't felt this placid with circumstances as they arise probably ever before. And I'm clear that that was a big catalyst for that. I'm having a tough time believing that that was 2 months ago or whatever it's been, because so much has happened in the last 60 days in my life that I'm like, wait, wasn't that event like a year ago?
Almost exactly 2 months to the day, actually.
From like the Super Bowl party, basically. So yeah, I mean, it hasn't even been 60 days. Like my life doesn't even resemble the human being that I was operating. Like I'm not at all the human being I was in January. It's actually pretty mind blowing to me.
Yeah. So we're actually, just before we got on here, let me switch this camera around. I got to find like a swivelly thing if we're going to keep doing this.
Oh, there's a thing called Amazon. They have swivelly things on there.
Do you think I typed that into Amazon? Is it like
swivelly thing? Yeah, you should do that. Right now, let's watch you search live.
I'm so curious about what would happen if I actually typed swivelly thing into Amazon. I may just do that. But we just got off the phone with Jordan talking about the next event. And so we're going to rebrand the whole thing to, instead of Mind Method, it's going to be Have It All. So this will be the Have It All live experience. And the dates are set. It's June 23rd through the 25th. So mark your calendars, guys. June 23rd through the 25th. It's going to be in San Diego. Right now, bro, it's at the Hilton, right?
The Hilton on Mission Bay, yeah.
At the Hilton on Mission Bay.
It's actually a resort-style hotel.
Yeah, which is really, really beautiful. We just kind of outgrew the space that we had it at last time. So while we'd love to have it there, just not realistic. But what we're going to do is 23rd through 25th. So stay tuned. If it's something that you're interested in, okay, next week we're really going to start pushing this and putting the pages together and all that kind of stuff. But just email me, Ilan, ILAN, at SatoriPrime.com. And just let me know if you're interested. I'll put you on just a list that I have, and we'll let you know the details and let you know when it's out. But June 23rd, 25th in San Diego, there will be a private VIP day with us like we did last time on the 26th, where you can spend all day with Guy and I. We're going to be coaching you. We're going to end that day with an incredible 5-course wine taste, sommelier paired dinner under the stars in this incredible barn in San Diego. It's going to be just an experience like nothing else. So stay tuned. That's coming. We're really, really excited about it. Again, it was so funny. We were just like looking at the numbers and this and that. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to lose money on the event, and we're totally fine with it. We just realized that this is like a big, big thing for our self-expression, and a big, big way that we can really cause some monumental shift and transformation in the world. And that's really important to us, more so than the money. And one of the funny outcomes, I think, from the last one is when we ended up losing, or I shouldn't say losing, but ended up investing so much money into the event, we pretty much like bankrupt our bank account. And then the next 30, 45, 60 days were the most profitable months we've had in our business. Which is, that's what I'm saying. Like energy, it was almost like the universe being like, yes, Elon and Guy, thank you for finally doing what you were put on this earth to do. Like I told you, if you do it, I will take care of you. And it was just this very inspiring, awakening moment. So I will tell you guys, all of you who are out there and just scared to take that leap of faith, scared to do that thing. Look at your life. Okay. Look at the things that you've done. My dad said this to me the other day. He said, you know that we're protected, right? And I was like, I know that, but I forget that. And so I guarantee if you look at your life and your experiences, have you ever crashed? I mean, really crashed, like face planted on the ground? Or has your experience been that you kind of, as you were falling, like right before you were going to hit rock bottom, it's like someone kind of caught you and then just springed you up? And I guarantee you that that's pretty much all of our experiences. But we don't trust that because our brain is terrified. Our heart knows that that happens every time. Our brain is terrified. And so trust your heart. Let this thing lead you. Because I promise you, the things that you've been just kind of like, make that list of what would I, if I died in the next 2 weeks, what would I regret? And that would give you some really good indications about what it is that your heart truly wants.
Mm-hmm.
And go out and do them and just take one step. I'm not saying like you have to do the whole enchilada, right? We did that and we were like, okay, we're going to do this. We said we're going to do this. And then the stars just aligned. The team built itself. The right people came into our lives. It was just say yes. Just be willing to play the game and watch what happens.
I just want to say this, like, you know, I've always said, and I never even had this thought up until this conversation, like I say the universe responds to boldness. Whatever that is, we call it bold, but whatever that energy is, the universe responds to boldness. Now, if you ever look at the part of you that's bold is your heart, right? Like when you see a beautiful woman across the room and you go and talk to her, that's bold action, right? A lot of people end up married that way to their soulmate because they take that kind of action. So it's like your heart wants boldness. Your mind seeks comfort because it's wrapped up in your survival constantly. Your heart there's no worry about survival there. It just wants what it wants and needs what it needs, right? So in order for you to enliven yourself, to live in magic, power, freedom, self-expression, it requires the ability to quiet the mind and follow the heart. This is why we meditate. This is why we go understand the mind. So when it's doing the things that it does and freaking the hell out, you're not freaking out alongside with it. You're just listening to it like it's noise. And then when you hear noise, you can go back into your heart and open that up and follow that creativity, that force, that drive that you may not even understand. Guys, like, I can't tell you, for me, I think every human I've ever met is like the strangest, like abstract dichotomy within to themselves. Because me and people, I don't need people. Like I do really well in a cave by myself with like some firewood and like a little chalk. Like I'm having the time of my life. Like I love isolation. Yet I have this weird drive that I don't truly understand why it's there to go and help everybody. Like not everybody, I'm talking like the planet transform, done deal. Like we're going to live in a completely new humanity before I die. And that drive is so strong within me that A, most of the time I don't know what to do with it. And B, I have no idea what the hell is sourcing it. And the only thing I could say is I was put here to do that. Like Elon said, I was put here to do that. And it's been a long time that in the back of my mind or in the back of my heart, whatever you want to call it, I've known that to be true. And then oftentimes I haven't let myself speak it, just like what we said about birthday wishes, because I want to be humble. Heaven forbid I say something like I'm going to transform the planet and then I don't. Like that's not going to look so good. But the point is, like, the game is more important than how I think about it. How I feel about it is great. So it's interesting. And I find this with a lot of people that it's like we're so complex, we don't understand, but there's this calling coming out of you all the time. And I have learned just trust that wholeheartedly. Who cares what the mind is thinking? The mind is trying to protect you from survival all the time. Does that guarantee at all? Does that worry guarantee at all that you're going to make it till tomorrow? No. We all have the same probability of waking up tomorrow, 0 or 100, right? So if you're going to listen to that, if you're going to be just in the mind, in your survival, worrying endlessly that's going to somehow protect you and prolong your life, like, is a life really worth living prolonged when all you've done is worry about the outcome of death or that it's going to turn out the worst? Who gives a shit? I'd rather risk my entire life for one day, experience love, power, full self-expression, all those things, because I followed my heart for one day, than live the next 50 years of my life the other way. Honestly. Couldn't have said it better myself. Honestly. All right. Well, I think that was, I think our thing just stopped, pause there for a second. So I think we'll end it with that.
I'm going to find it. Guys, I'm going to find a new holder.
Find a better swivel.
Better swivel. This swivel is not working for me.
And guys, for those of you who are listening, if you're inspired, if you want information about our next event, please reach out to our support team. Just send an email to support@SatoriPrime.com. And as we have more details for you as tickets become available for sale, which should be reasonably soon, we'll make sure that you're first to know, because we'll have some fast action bonuses for those of you guys who want to get in there first.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, just email. You can even email me directly. Seriously, Elon@SatoriPrime.com. Whatever is easier for you, just let us know that you're in, or at least want to find out more information, and we'll get that out to you. All right. So Sans Beer Talk.
You want to cheers the water again?
Yeah, why not? I don't believe in those superstitions.
Yep.
All right, everyone. Love you all. For those of you on live, thank you so much for joining us. It was a blast. Next time, more questions, more comments. Just let us know what's going on. It was really fun to interact with you. And for those of you listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, just make sure to favorite. You can favorite my profile on your Facebook wall. And then every time I go live, it'll actually send you a message. It'll like pop up a notification, and you can just join live, because I'd love to do these way more interactive with you guys as we go through this. So, yeah, love you all. Thanks for joining. Guy, thanks for coming out. And we'll do more of these.
One last look at the brick wall.
Well, let's look at the brick wall.
Okay, guys. Love you. Take it easy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you read my eyes and my aching thoughts? Did you walk through walls till you had to grow?